What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Knives Off the Round Table. My name is Marco, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Null Knives Raiden. Now, the Null Knives Raiden, this is not the traditional Null Knives Raiden. This one happens to be the Knife Nuts Podcast Edition. So you can see the Null Knives mark right here. And if you know anything about Knife Nuts Podcast, for many different knives, they manage to snag like a special edition that you can only get through them, and this is one of those. I have a couple of their knives. I also have their Knife Nut Podcast Edition progeny. Usually, you have to be a Patreon to their podcast so that you can get in on some of these pre-orders. So let me give you a tour of the knife. What you got here, let me see if I can find my ruler anywhere. Yeah, what you got here, it's 3 1/4 inch blade, which is right on my sweet spot of blade length. You've got it's an M390 blade. I don't think it's billboarded anywhere. No, it's not billboarded anywhere, but it's M390 blade. What you have, this edition has really nice Timascus thumb studs and a Timascus back spacer and clip. So, and you've got these purple anodized, kind of blurple anodized hardware. You have these titanium scales that have been, I'm not going to say contoured this way, but you do get like this flat area and then these two cutouts that kind of go fade away, and that gives it the impression of contouring in this direction. It's a really nice kind of textured pivot on the show side when you have like just the torques on the non-show side, on the lock side. It is a titanium frame lock. You have a lock bar insert that does serve as a over travel stab, and that's kind of it. Now, these I believe that they're made by Riyadh. Now, Riyadh has, from what I understand, and don't quote me on it, I don't think not even Null Knives will be able to confirm this, but I think Riyadh has kind of like 2 levels of quality. If you pick their top level of quality, you get to claim that it is made by Riyadh. If you purchase the next level of quality, then it's still made by Riyadh, but you don't get to claim that it is made by Riyadh. So whenever and I think Riyadh is the only company that does this. So if you ask anybody, hey, who's making your knives, which OEM is making your knife, and they're like, we're not allowed to tell you, it's usually Riyadh. Okay, that's what it is. But there is a difference in the quality that you get from the knives that Riyadh claims that it makes to the quality of knife that it doesn't claim it makes. But you can see, and I actually found that it is billboarded here. You can see the M390, and I'll show you, I'll give you a close-up. So this is a Pena knives that is actually claimed to be made by Riyadh, and this is the Raiden. Can you see the logo or the font of the M390? Hopefully that's coming across fairly well. So you can see it's identical font. It's damn near identical size. So this is, without being able to confirm it with anybody, I'm pretty darn sure that this is made by Riyadh. But you can tell that even though it's made by Riyadh, there's this feel, especially in the action, where it doesn't feel quite as nice as the action that you get from an actual Riyadh knife. So, well, not actual Riyadh, but the one that Riyadh, that you can claim that it's a Riyadh knife. So that's what you have. You have basically, I'm gonna call it 90% of Riyadh quality, and without being able to claim that it's Riyadh. It's a thumb stud deployment only. It's got kind of like this kind of harpoon drop point blade on it. So let's get into it, and let's start talking about ergonomics. And the ergonomics are okay. You kind of get a hot spot of in the pocket clip here in the back, this corner. It's pretty sharp and it digs, especially when you this harpoon is kind of perfectly placed so that you can do a saber grip. But when you do this, at least in my hand, this pocket clip pokes me in the back. It's a pretty bad hot spot. You can't feel the pocket clip. The pocket clip is pretty good, and I do like this cutout that you have right here. It fits perfectly with my two first fingers, and then these land back here. So the ergonomics are decent, not great, but decent, but only because of this hot spot. Other than that, that problem kind of goes away when you have it in hammer grip. In hammer grip, my hand kind of shifts and it's kind of off of the clip, so it's better in a hammer grip. But as soon as I turn my grip at a saber grip, which is a lot of times I end up cutting things with a saber grip, and that's why I always mention it. But in my large hands, the back of this pocket clip becomes a hot spot. Now, for action, the action is, I'm gonna call it's as snappy and as fluid as you get from all of the Riyadh knives. There is it does feel just a little bit grittier. It's not as smooth as hydraulic. If the Riyadh action, it's hard to beat. It's one of the best actions that you can get. But I'm gonna say that it's about anywhere between 80 and 90% of that action. The detent is perfect and it's really nice, and it actually it's a controlled drop shot that I really like. But there's a feeling that it's not as smooth as some of the other action that I've had from Riyadh. So the action is very good. It's very reliable. It's very snappy. It's just there's just a little bit of not enough, and maybe I need to take it apart and lubricate it and something like that. But stock, because that's how I've been carrying it, it feels just a little bit gritty, just a tad bit. Now, for cutting, this is actually pretty good. Oh, you know what I didn't do is size comparison. Oh my God. Let me give you the size comparison before I go too much further. Here's the pair of 3, and here's the pair of 2. So right in that sweet spot between those two knives, but it carries much smaller. Like if I compare it to the pair of 3 in profile, right? You can see obviously the paramilitary, they're known for being very tall in that direction. So this actually carries very well. It's got a very nice pocket clip. It doesn't go too deep. It goes to about right there, but it's fairly it's not very tall in this direction, so it carries fairly well. Obviously not as well as a bug out, but I would say that it's closer to carrying like a bug out than anything else. Let me show you the full size bug out, because that's probably the best size comparison lengthwise. It's a little bit bigger than the bug out, not by much, and this is the mini bug out. Okay. I just remembered that I hadn't done the size comparisons when I went to reach for blade thickness. But let me show you blade thicknesses now. And it is significantly thinner, so you can see, significantly thinner than what you get on a pair of 2 and a pair of 3. So even though it's kind of a saber grind, it goes about half. It goes about, call it 30% of the way, and then the rest of the way down. This is actually fairly slicey, and it's got like this. I'm not gonna call it satin, but it's like the silk vapor finish on the grind, and then this hand drop satin going this way, and it looks really good. The contrast, and hopefully let me try and rotate it just slightly so you can see all of the different kind of textures. It looks really good. It looks really good. you can see that it's most likely made by a Riyadh, without some of the finishing touches. But this blade, I've carried it for, I call it probably 2 weeks, maybe 3, a little less than that maybe, and it slices very well. It's a really nice size, you know, at 3¼ inches. It's right on my sweet spot, and it's a blade that it's not too thick, not too thin. It's a little bit thicker than the bug out. Let me see if I can show you that. Yeah, so you can see the thickness of the bug out. So it's thicker than the bug out, so it's not as slicey as the bug out, but it's a happy medium where you get a blade that's a little bit more robust than a bug out, but it's still probably as slicey as a pair 2 and a pair 3. Pretty darn good. Now, fit and finish, I think that's the best way I can do to describe it. Probably about 85% to 90% of the quality that you get from a Riyadh made knife. You have this this orange peel texture on the scales, which is really nicely done. It feels really good in the hand. Like I said, there's this vapor kind of finish. It looks very silky on the grind, and you get a hand rub satin. I really like the Damascus thumb studs. They look really good. Hopefully that comes across in the camera. Let me see if I can get you close. And then you also have a really nice Damascus back spacer and pocket clip. And this is with my paws all over it. Even if I polish it a little bit, it probably pops even more. But yeah, it is really gorgeous. And you know, usually I don't, you know, Metal Complex, he likes his knives monochromatic, right? All titanium, you know, no color. For me, I like these. I like these editions with, you know, just fairly monochromatic with just accents. I really like that. Like, if you take a look at this bug out, right? It's fairly monochromatic with the orange accents. I love that. I think that those are, you know, the way to do it. The same thing with this Peña, right? It's fairly monochromatic, but you got an accent here and then an accent in the pocket clip. I wish they'd done that in the back spacer as well. But anyways, I think it's very good fit and finish. Certainly, you know, I think it's, you know, I always think that Riyadh has better quality than WE knives, and this is probably at that WE knife level. So if you have a WE knife, this will feel, the fit and finish will feel very much like that. You know, like I said, I think it's chamfered and rounded in everywhere that matters. I think the only bad spot is back here. So there's that. Airing of grievances. I wish that it had a flipper. I like the flipper tab is my preferred deployment method. So I wish that it had that, or, you know, at least some way. I don't know if you can reverse flick this. I haven't tried. No. Well, at least not in my hands. I always struggle with reverse flicking from a thumb stud. I don't have a lot of airing of grievances. I don't have a lot bad to say about this. I think they should chamfer this back corner that way so that it doesn't poke out. I really like where they have billboarded their brand logo right here. It's tucked in. It's nice and in a nice and out of the way place. I really like that they did that. I think that it could be smoother. It feels just a tad bit gritty. It's the slightest hint, and I don't know if it would break in after a little while. Most likely this won't stay in my collection, but I think that it's the version that is not the Knife Nut Podcast edition. It's a decent value because you get a lot. Like I said, you get 80-90% of the Riyadh quality from a knife without getting to that Riyadh quality type price. So I think it's if you're ever really curious about getting a Riyadh knife and you think that they might be too expensive, I would probably give the Null Knives a chance. They came up with the Voodoo. I missed the drop, so I will attempt to get one in the secondary. I think the blade shape for that one is really interesting, and it's got a triangular thumb stud that I really like. So anyways, be on the lookout for that. Maybe some of the reviews for those knives start popping up here. Not for me, because like I said, I missed one, but I think Null Knives is probably doing a fairly good job. I hope that at some point they actually do the full Riyadh quality level. I think that'd be really nice to see. Well, guys, hopefully this is helpful to you. If it is, then like and subscribe if you think I earned it. If you did, then until I see you at the next one, take care.